I love the big picture innovation with a capital I, and then even bigger. That's really, really good. And what ports can do to extend. Now on to our next session, which is an interactive session on inclusive innovation. This is really important because when we're innovating and creating solutions that we think might help us, they're designed to help. It's about making sure they do help everybody and actually do help the people that they are intended to help, right? And not accidentally or unintentionally excluding people. So there's a new inclusive innovation tool that our next speakers, Ellie Pile and Trusha Oza, have designed and are going to show us and tell us all about. So come on up, let's welcome them and hear what they've got to show us, see what they've got to show us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Trusha, and I'll be supported by Ellie today. And we're both service designers from Connected Places Catapult. And today we'll be running a session on identifying inclusive innovation practices. So at first we'll talk about the Inclusive Innovation Network and the work which we've done so far. And after that, we'll be getting into the interactive discussion. So next slide, please. So I'll start talking about the Inclusive Innovation Network. So this is what the team currently looks like. So Ellie and myself, we're both service designers, and we are currently situated in the Human Connected Design Directorate at the Catapult. And we were supported by Brogan, who has a doctoral researcher in residence. And the Inclusive Innovation Network currently consists of Alex Cousins, who is the business director at CPC, and Andy, who is the Inclusive Innovation Manager. So the Catapult Network brings together 9 leading technology and innovation centers spanning over 50 locations across the UK. And we're an independent non-profit organization transforming UK's capability for innovation in sectors of strength, and we aim to accelerate innovation, business growth, and stimulate markets. So the Connected Places Catapult is UK's innovation accelerator for innovation for cities, transportation, and place leadership, and we work across 7 ecosystems. So we have the maritime, logistics, aviation, airports, rail and stations, and integrated infrastructure, place leadership, homes, housing, and ecosystem incubation. So why is inclusive innovation important? Inclusive innovation has tended to be exclusive. Its benefits have isolated from large parts of the population. So for example, 1 in 7 applications for Innovate UK funding come from women, which is quite surprising. And too many people have been locked out of the innovation economy, and large parts of the population face systemic barriers, and systemic barriers to innovate and start new businesses or even work in innovation sectors. So the Inclusive Innovation Network is putting inclusion at the heart of innovation to drive faster growth and equitable prosperity for people and places. And our mission is to disrupt innovation and challenge players across diverse sectors to define, design, and deliver innovation that does not exclude diverse individuals or communities. So currently, the Inclusive Innovation Network collaborates with diverse sectors across the innovation ecosystems. So we work with national governments, regional governments such as West Midlands Combined Authority, then policy development networks such as Inclusive Innovation Growth, academic universities, innovation districts, business communities such as UK Innovation District groups. And we have funding and investment by Impact Investing Institute and community builders such as Kindred. So the Inclusive Innovation Network currently has set motion in the West Midlands, and where we'll be working with diverse SMEs to solve local innovation challenges to create real impact on the society and people. And this will be done in partnership with Birmingham City Council and the Center for Research in Ethnic Minority Entrepreneurship. And the aim of doing is to create an opportunity for some real impact and gain further insight into what the inclusive innovation design model looks like and how can it be delivered regionally across the UK. So now I will pass on to my colleague Ellie to talk about the inclusive innovation practices. Thank you.
Hi, it's great to be here. My phone. I want to talk to you about what are inclusive innovation practices. So as part of the Inclusive Innovation Network, we were tasked with understanding the inclusive innovation practices at CPC. So as an innovation organisation, we thought it was important to understand how inclusive our practices are and what we could maybe do to improve the inclusivity of our practices. So we did a few things. We did a literature review to kind of understand current thinking and the research that's already been done in this space. We did internal and external workshops, and that was to define what inclusive innovation means to us. And then the bulk of the work was focused on case study analysis of current and past CPC projects. So we spent some time talking to project teams, understanding the activities that they do within an innovation project, how do they think about inclusivity, and what could they do to improve their practices. And then finally, we did some system mapping exercises. So that was to understand the variables and potential levers that we could look to change and potentially increase inclusive innovation. Oh dear. I think we're good. So the first thing that came out of this was the definition of inclusive innovation and what it meant to us. So for us, this was really closely linked to meaningful participation, and that was meaningful participation throughout the process of innovation. And to us, meaningful participation is where people value their participation in a process, but are also valued by that process, and their participation impacts the outcome of that process. And this kind of circle on the right shows you that it's not only at one point in the process, so it's not something that you can kind of do and then tick off and be done. It's engaging with the design, the delivery, and the diffusion. So that's kind of making sure that the impact of the innovation is really targeted at those that most need it. So we learned a lot of things through, okay. We learned quite a lot through our research, and this is just a few insights that we captured. I don't think any of them are massively surprising, but I think it's really important that we acknowledge these. So we need to put a greater emphasis on enabling non-technical and non-expert opinions to input into innovation processes and projects. Inclusive innovation can be complex and it can be time-heavy. If you're looking at increasing the number of stakeholders that you're engaging with and getting more input into the process, it can take up a lot of time, and therefore it's important that we get commitment to inclusive practices at every level of a project team. Consciously building in time and space to experiment, learn, and reflect is really critical for inclusive innovation. That space really enables us to kind of contemplate how inclusive the processes that we are going through are. And then finally, there's a need to continually challenge our assumptions, challenge our biases and our motivations for where we are going and how we can achieve an inclusive innovation process. So one of the main outcomes of the project was this framework that we developed, and it's called the Dimensions of Inclusive Innovation. So these dimensions try and capture common processes, experiences, and influencing factors that shape an innovation project, particularly when you're thinking of the inclusivity of that project. And our aim for developing this framework was to make it easier to talk about inclusive innovation. It was when we were speaking to the project teams, we realized it's hard to justify and talk about how our practices are inclusive. And this was a tool used to try and help people better engage and shape their practices. So the dimension of the inclusive innovation framework is made up of 7 dimensions. I'm going to talk a little bit about each of them, but just to kind of give you an overview of the diagram. So at the bottom we have the mindset, and that is the mindset that kind of influences the whole process. In the middle, in the 4 ones in the circle, this is activities that we go through in a innovation process. Above that we have reflectivity, so that's how we look back on what we're doing and how we reflect on that process. And then at the top is the outcome, so what we're trying to achieve through the process. So first of all, the mindset, that's this obviously bottom one. So the mindset is the foundation of the framework. This dimension draws attention to the fact that when we go into an innovation process, we are all shaped by our values and experiences. And for the process to be truly inclusive, we need to be conscious of our own mindset and the mindset of others, and how this will shape the process and the practices that we engage in. The next one we have is gathering. So this is the first of the action dimensions. Gathering is obviously a really critical activity within inclusive innovation, as it's very important that we gather a wide range of perspectives and people, so in order that they can input into the process. But the reason that we have this as a dimension is that it's obviously a complex challenge trying to gather everyone, and we need to understand how we can enable as many people as possible to engage in an innovation process, particularly taking into account different levels of ability of individuals to engage in that process. The next one that we have is navigating knowledge. So this dimension looks at the fact that when we enter into an innovation process, we all enter with a different level of knowledge of the situation. And in order for us to progress in an inclusive way, we need to create a shared understanding of what we know and what we don't know. And it's the collective shaping of that knowledge that is really important for inclusive innovation. The next one, managing power dynamics. Maybe this is kind of an obvious one, but for inclusive innovation, it's really critical that when we are trying to create change, we are challenging power structures and not reinforcing the power structures that already exist. So we need to question, how can we distribute power, distribute decision-making, distribute responsibility throughout the process and with all of those that are engaging in the process. Our last action dimension is imagining futures. And this acknowledges the fact that what a better future is may vary for individuals, and so that we are all aiming in the same direction, we need to collectively imagine a future and have a shared understanding of what that future is. So moving up on the model is reflexivity, and arguably this is the most important dimension of inclusive innovation. Reflexivity refers to our ability to be self-aware and to reflect on the process that we are going through. There are lots of influencing factors, and we need to be aware of how those influencing factors affect our practices and how they interrelate to each other. We need to, I've said it before, but it's important that we give time and space within an innovation process to reflect and spend some time thinking about what we have done and how inclusive it is. And then finally, we have the outcome. So this is included so that we can talk about the change that we are trying to make. With an innovation process, you're trying to make a change a reality. And we want to question, how are we measuring that change? And how does our idea of that change evolve over time with the process that we've gone through and the people that we've engaged with? I'm going to hand back over to Trusha.
Thank you, Ellie. So after the dimensions, we also looked at who is needed for inclusive innovation to happen. So we started developing the inclusive innovation collaborators. So basically they are collective personas we've created, or collective groups of people who have the skills which are needed to achieve inclusive innovation. So for example, we have the social butterflies who are experts in people. They know who the right people are, how to bring people into an inclusive innovation process. And then we have the involvement advocates who look at motivation as a key area. So how do we motivate everyone who's involved in an innovation process to bring them towards making a successful inclusive innovation project. And then we have the skilled explorers. So they are experts in insights. So they help us gather insights and insights around challenges faced around innovation or any data-based insights as well. And then we have the expert enablers who have the resources and they help us manage accessibility throughout the inclusive innovation process. And last but not the least, we have the decision navigators who promote shared ownership and responsibility. So for example, if we had to put them in a dimension, the decision navigators, they would be supporting and managing the power dynamics. So like Ellie said that it's really key for us to manage the power dynamics and not just reinforce them, and we need to challenge the power dynamics and make sure that we have a shared ownership and responsibility towards achieving inclusive innovation. And finally, as an outcome of this design process, we developed an inclusive innovation card deck. So the card deck can be used as a discussion tool. So from our exploration of inclusive innovation practices, we have developed this card deck, and which can be used by practitioners in the innovation ecosystem. And it helps them think about inclusivity in relation to their own practices. And currently this deck includes of the inclusive innovation personas and the dimensions of inclusive innovation model. And the model also has question cards which act as prompts. So these prompts help you think about various aspects and different ways of making inclusive innovation happen. So currently the card deck is in a testing and development stage. So we are iterating the cards and supporting the inclusive innovation framework and thinking around it to better understand how it can be a useful tool for inclusive innovation practitioners across the ecosystem to start thinking, making them think about inclusivity into their day-to-day practices. And initially, we want to test these with individuals who we have interviewed in this process of development, and to develop case studies and explore particular topics